Love by Kenneth Anderson. Before we start with the story, let's have a look at the author first. Kenneth Anderson hailed from a Scottish family settled in India for 6 generations. His father was superintendent of the FMC in Pune, Maharashtra, and dealt with the salaries paid to military personnel. He was sent to study law at Edinburgh, but he quit studies and returned to India. He worked for 15 years in the Posts and Telegraph Department and later worked at the British Aircraft Factory in Bangalore, in the rank of factory manager for planning. In the year 1972, he was diagnosed with cancer, from which he died in 1974. He was buried at the Horseshoe Road Cemetery. So let's first talk about the title, The Bond of Love. The Bond of Love is quite appropriate as the contents of the story focus on the relationship of love and affection between human beings and animals. The narrator, through the medium of his wife and her pet, Sloth Bear, reveals that love transcends even the barrier of species. The pets, reared with sincere love and affection, develop an unbreakable bond with their human caretakers. Yes, dear student, the story focuses on 2 different concepts. The first one, animal-human relationship. Number 2, compassion towards animals. As I said, the bond of love is of course appropriate as it focuses on a relationship of love and affection between human beings and animals. If our pets, we take care about them, we provide them sincere love and affection, of course, there develops an unbreakable bond with them as their caretakers. The characters in the story, let's discuss the characters one by one. Bruno, late Baba the Sloth Bear, the author and his wife, the vet, the veterinarian, the doctor, the curator, and author's friends. If I talk about the story, of course it's an emotional bonding between a woman and a bear, and it's a fascinating account of an orphaned sloth bear, we can say, who was rescued by the author, Kenneth Anderson, and gifted to his wife as a pet. This playful baby bear grew friendly not only with the people around him, but also with the 2 Alsatian dogs in the family. The bear's intelligence, playful nature, memory, and sense of affection won everyone's heart, especially that of the author's wife. That's why the author once found, an orphan sloth bear while passing the sugarcane fields near Mysore. Its parents were shot dead by the author's companions, but the little creature ran around its prostrate parent, making a pitiful noise, and presented it to his wife. The little sloth bear scooted into sugarcane field, but the author followed it and was at last able to scruff off its neck while it snapped and tried to scratch him with its long hooked claws. It was then put in one of the gunny bags that the author had carried and took the little bear along with him to Bangalore. He presented it to his wife, who was delighted. After seeing the little bear, she christened it Bruno and loved him deeply. She put a colored ribbon around Bruno's neck, and soon Bruno took to drinking, milk from a bottle. It was a step further, and within a very few days, he started eating and drinking everything else. The bear became very attached to the 2 Alsatian dogs and the children living in the bungalow. He was quiet, he was left quite free in his younger days and spent his time in playing, running into the kitchen and bedrooms. One day an incident befell him. The author had outdone poison, barium carbonate, to kill the rats and mice that had gone into his library. Bruno entered the library, as he often did, and he ate some of the poison. Paralysis set in to the extent that he could not stand on his feet. He was rushed in the car to the vet's residence. He was floundering about on his stumps, but clearly weakening rapidly. Some vomiting, heavy breathing, with heavy flanks and gaping mouth. He was given antidote, and after 30 miles he showed signs of improvement. The months rolled on, and Bruno had grown many times the size he was when he came. He had equaled the Alsatians in height and had even outgrown them. But he was just as sweet, just as mischievous, just as playful. He was fond of the whole family, and above all, Arthur's wife. He performed many playful tricks which gave pleasure to her. They enjoy each other's company. She changed his name from Bruno to Baba, a Hindustani word signifying small boy. When the bear grew, big, he was dangerous for children in the house and had to be kept chained most of the time. The author decided to send him to the zoo. His departure was very painful for the author's wife. The whole family missed him greatly. The wife was so inconsolable. She wept and fretted. For the first few days, she would not eat anything. Then she wrote a number of letters to the curator. How was Baba? Back came the replies. Well, but fretting. He refuses food too. Dear children, we here need to understand the bond that had developed between the author's wife and the pet Bruno. And finally, what happened? She asked her husband to visit Baba in the zoo. Friends had conjectured that the bear would not recognize her. He howled with happiness. She ran up to him, petted him through the bars, and he stood on his head in delight. The author's wife gave him tea, lemonade, cakes, ice cream, and whatnot. They both felt relieved on seeing each other. Then the closing time came. They had to leave. The wife cried bitterly. Baba cried bitterly. Even the hardened curator and the keepers felt depressed. She requested the curator that she wants to take Baba back home. He refused by saying that he cannot give away government property. But if his boss, the superintendent at Bangalore, agrees, certainly she may have him back. The author and his wife met superintendent in Bangalore. A tearful pleading, a request. Baba and I are both fretting for each other. Will you please give him back to me? He was a kind-hearted man and consented. Not only that, but he wrote to the curator telling him to lend them a cage for transporting the bear to Bangalore. Okay, so what happened? In a few days, they built an island for the sloth bear. The author's wife spent hours sitting on a chair playing with Baba while he sat on her lap. The bonding between the human and animal was very, very strong. So, the theme of the story is that even the wild animals like sloth bears have emotions, affection, and deep bonds. The story is developed around the concept that love is reciprocal. Even animals respond sincerely to the affection and care shown to them by human beings. In fact, the emotional bond that animals form is so strong that they do not easily forget those who care for them and love them. The pets reared with sincere love and affection develop an unbreakable bond with their human caretakers. We've analyzed that when Bruno was in his younger days, he was left free and became friendly with 2 Alsatian dogs and children of teens. Bruno had that access to kitchen and slept in the beds of the family members. That's how the story is developed around the concept of Lau. Then author put down some poison in the library to kill rats, and Bruno entered the library as usual and ate some of the poison, and he gets paralyzed but somehow dragged himself to author's wife. And then they took him to the veteran, which was an uncommon case of poisoning of a bear, and Bruno was saved. That is the basic essence, the basic fact that emotional bond that animals form is indeed stronger, and they do not easily forget those who care and love for them. I hope I'm clear, dear children. Thank you very much.